Hey everyone, it's Laura here from makingcardsisfun.com, and in this video I'll be featuring the Tiny Dancer stamp and die cut set from Sunny Studio Stamps. So let's get started. First, I'm going to stamp 3 of the ballerinas onto some white cardstock, and I am using my mini MISTI tool to position and to pick up these images all at once so I can just easily and quickly stamp them. So I'm inking up my stamps with Memento Tuxedo black ink, and this is my favorite black ink pad to use whenever I do some COPIC coloring. So after inking it up, it's time to stamp these tiny dancers, and then I'm going to color them. So for the first ballerina, I'm using some pink tones. I am using RV14 first to add my shading. Then I'm using RV13 to blend that. And then finally, I'm using RV11 to highlight it and to blend everything together. Then for the top, I'm using the same colors and I'm repeating the exact same steps like I did for the skirt. So I'm using RV14, RV13, and RV11. Then it's time to color the next ballerina. For this one, I'm going to use some yellow colors. I'm using Y19, Y18, and Y13. Just wanted to do a little bit of variety, so I'm going to use 3 different colors. I'm also going to experiment a little bit with skin tones and hair colors, so you'll see that later in the video. So for the top, I'm using the same colors, and then it's time to color our final ballerina. I'm going to use some pool shades for this, so I'm using BG13, BG32, and BG11. And this is probably my favorite COPIC color combo ever, since I just love this color, even though I also really like pink. So for the top, I'm using the same colors, so BG13, BG32, and BG11. Then it's time to color the ballerina's hair and skin. So for the first one, I'm using some brown colors, and notice that I'm doing this flicking or feathering motion with my Copic marker. So first I use the E57, which is the darkest color, and then I move on to my midtone, which is E55, and I just work my way upwards and then downwards. And then finally, I like to add some highlights, and in this case, I'm using E42. So I repeated this step for about, I repeated this step twice, I think, yes, just to achieve the result that I was looking for. Then for the skin, I'm using E30 and E000. And I don't have a lot of colors yet to color skin tones, so I'm actually going to expand my collection a little bit so I have more options available. So I added some R11 on the cheeks for a little bit of a blush, and then it's time to color the second ballerina. So for this one, I'm going to color some black hair. I'm using N10, N8, and N6. And then for the skin, I'm using E27, E57, and E55. So I'm just going to repeat the step twice. As you can see, I just wanted to show you on camera that I repeat the step twice usually. However, for their outfits, I only blended it once, like I show you in the video. Then for the third ballerina, I am using YR27, YR24, and YR21 to color some auburn hair, which is probably my favorite hair color of the 3 of them. And then it's time to die cut these images. So I'm using the coordinating dies, and I'm just temporarily adhering them with a piece of washi tape. You could also cut these images with your scissors, of course. So after die cutting these images, it's time to stamp a fun background. I'm using the tiny little flower stamp from the Tiny Dancer stamp set just to create a really happy and girly background. I'm using the same Copic colors that I used for the ballerinas. So I'm coloring the flowers with those exact same markers. So for the pink, I'm using RV14, RV13, and RV11. Then for the yellow flowers, I'm using Y19, Y18, and Y13. And then finally, for the mint or pool or turquoise flowers, I'm using BG13, BG32, and BG11. There you go. So once I finished coloring, I just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this floral piece because, as you can see, I'm adhering a piece of gold glitter cardstock so that it pops a little bit. So I'm going to adhere this all straight. I'm going to line that up. And then I'm going to add a fun little touch to these flowers. I'm using some Nuvo drops from Tonic to color the flowers center. So for the pink ones, I'm using Carnation pink. Then for the yellow ones, I'm using Dandelion yellow. And for the turquoise ones, I'm using Caribbean Ocean. So I think that this is just a really lovely color combination, and it's just really pretty and girly, and it matches this ballerina stamp set perfectly. Next, I'm adhering some pattern paper onto a standard size A2 white note card. I like to use Nina Solar White cardstock for my card base. And then here I'm creating a sentiment banner. So I cut a little V-shaped banner out of some green cardstock, and then I'm going to emboss a sentiment on there. Before I use my embossing powder, I like to prep my cardstock just to remove any static cling, and I like to do that with regular kitchen flour. There are tools out there to remove the static cling, like the embossing buddy or the Martha Stewart powder tool, but I just like to work with regular kitchen flour. So I stamped my sentiment on there with the Wow embossing ultra sticky pad, and then I sprinkled on their opaque bright white embossing powder. Then I'm adhering my banner, and I needed to be extra careful this time since the Nuvo drops were still wet. So that's why I'm adhering my foam square straight on my card instead of on the back of the floral piece. So after doing that, it's time for the fun part. It's time to finish off this card. So I'm adhering the 3 ballerinas onto my note card with some foam adhesive. And then I'm also adding some shimmer and some shine. I'm using the Spectrum Noir Clear Overlay Glitter Pen. And then I'm going to add some more dimension to these ballerinas with the Nuvo Crystal Glaze from Tonic. So that finishes up my cards for this video. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye!